Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. So wish you all a very, very happy new year and welcome back to Emerging Leaders Toastmasters first meeting of the year 2023. Hope you all had a very wonderful vacation and now we are back to the work and back to Toastmasters. Okay, today we'll be speaking about how to script a speech. So I hope this will be very useful for the beginners, for the new Toastmasters who have joined us, and also others can take tips from here. All right. Now, can anyone tell me what is the toughest job in a cooking? Anybody, please?
To put the salt amount correctly, like you should put the correct amount of salt.
Of course, for the beginners, you have to put in the salt. Anybody else?
Identifying the ingredients.
Yeah, identifying the ingredients. Yeah, well said.
Recipe.
Recipe, exactly. According to me and Prisha, to identify what should we prepare for tomorrow, what would be the menu for tomorrow is the toughest job, right? So similarly, in writing a script, the toughest job is to decide on what topic should be spoken on the coming meeting. So how do you decide on what topic should be spoken? What would you do? How would you choose the topic? Any idea? All right. The first step is to know your audience. You need to know who your audience are to give the topic. Now, can you just suggest some topics which you would do for a contest which is happening tomorrow? What type of topics would you give? Anybody, please?
Like humorous speech contest, you mean?
Any contest, speech contest, normal speech contest, what topics would you choose to give?
Inspirational, motivational speeches.
Exactly. So how were you able to decide on these topics? You know your audience are Toastmasters. You know your audience would be able to speak on the topic. And that's why you chose to give motivational talk or any inspirational talk. Suppose suppose if you're going to give them a tips on how would you suppose you're going to speak about how would you write your 10th standard exams. So how would you're going to give them tips on writing the 10th standard exam or scoring more marks for 10th standard exam. Would your audience listen in this hall? Nobody would listen, right? In Toastmasters, everybody are grown up. They're all engineers and auditors. So nobody, we would think, why they're giving me a 10th standard topic over here? That is not necessary for me. So similarly, if you're going to a school and speaking to them about savings after retirement, so the students would think, why this topic to me? I'm not interested in that. So they would think we are really some boring people who are coming and wasting their time, right? So before you choose the topic, it is very important to know who your audience are. So that is the first step. And then suppose you don't know who your audience are. It is not possible to know your audience every time. Sometimes you're going, there may be all type of people, all the ages, and you really don't know what is the topic you have to give. So there, what you have to do is choose a universal application. So universal application is what Ashok sir said, like you can go for some motivational talk or you can speak about friendship or kindness, which is applicable to everyone. So this is the thing which is being followed in Toastmasters. Most of them use this universal application because we have people of all ages and groups. So remember, before choosing your topic, the topic you're giving should be like a roti. What is ROTI now? ROTI is the returns on time invested by the audience to us. The audience are investing their valuable time to hear us. So it should be like whatever you are telling should be useful for them, and they should have some takeaway message. We cannot waste their time. They are coming and spending some 30 minutes sitting with us. So whatever you're giving should be useful for them. It should be valuable. When they go home, they should think like whatever the time they have invested with us, they found it useful and it is really productive. So you should take care of the ROTI, that is written on the time invested by the audience with us. Is that clear, everyone? Okay. So first we are after identifying the audience, and then we are taking the ROTI of the time invested, and we are giving them the appropriate topic and the appropriate message also. The next thing what you have to do is decide on the speech, what speech you're going to give them. So what are the types of speeches we have? So we are having generally the speeches are divided as personal stories with personal annotations. Most of the time, everybody would try to give some personal story, whatever they have seen, the story, what has been happened to them. So when you tell your own personal story and you give the annotation for that, it would be generally accepted by everyone, because people believe that you have experienced yourself and they put their trust in us and they try to grab whatever we are telling. And people generally love hearing stories. So when you tell stories, everybody loves to hear it. So when I was a Toastmaster in CTC, that is Coimbatore Toastmasters, in the initial days, I really didn't know what are the topics to be spoken. I'd be very confused, like what should I talk, what should I do so that my audience get inspired. So I was a person who used to travel to a lot of places. So I had the experience of traveling, and so I had the experience of seeing a lot of things. So I used to tell those stories about my journeys. I went here, there, if those places are there, like what you have to buy, what are the places, what is it famous for, like that. When I say that those personal stories, people were really involved with me. They found it is more interesting. So I was able to write a lot of topics, and because it is my own story, I was able to put in a lot of facts, and I was able to make it more interesting for my audience. And that was one of the method which you can generally do. The other thing is you can say about the incidents. If you don't have a personal story, you can tell about the incidents, what you have seen from in your friend's life or around the world, or wherever you have traveled, or something, what you have heard about, something like that. You can speak about the incidents. So these type of incidents, what you're telling, this will also be very inspirational to your audience. So when I used to write my speeches, I used to write about Jammu and Kashmir. I was in Jammu and Kashmir that time also. So I had heard a lot of stories in Jammu about his historical stories or the myths, like for example, I would tell you, like we have heard of the story in Amarnath, where the Shiva Parvati was sitting on the tiger mat, and they were speaking the secret. There were 2 eggs under the tiger carpet, and so those eggs hatched into the birds, and it is believed that these 2 pigeons are still flying in the Amarnath. So it is believed. And when we went to Amarnath, and when we were able to see 2 pigeons, I don't know whether it is really that those pigeons or not, but we were able to see those pigeons flying over there. And so I was able to put up all these stories to my audience. And when we say our own personal incidents, what we have seen, like the doves were flying and all, and those things, people were really interested to hear. So like that, you can make your own stories out of the incidents you have seen or heard. There's one more incident, like one of my mentee, he was an IIT student. So he spoke about friendship. So he said, like, he brought a new cycle. It was some good branded cycle, and his friend, it was his favorite cycle also. So when he had left his cycle outside, his friend had taken that cycle without his permission. And then when he came back from the class, he lost that cycle also. He took the cycle and went, he parked and went, and somebody took away the cycle. So totally the cycle was lost. So even with this friend, he was very angry that his cycle was lost, but still he didn't show the anger. He controlled the anger because he valued his friendship more than the cycle. He said cycle was an object that I can restore, but my friendship once lost, it cannot be restored. So something he was trying to tell some message out of the one incident, what had happened in his life. So you can say such valuable messages to your audience. It will be definitely appreciated. So the third one is the motivational stories. So this motivational stories, usually it happens that most of us need some inspiration every time. When somebody inspires us, somebody brings us the knowledge from within us, so it would be a hidden knowledge which we don't know ourselves. When someone motivates us, we really feel very nice. For example, when you're going to an exam and when your friend comes and says, you will definitely do it nicely, you do it, it's not that tough, you're going to do it so nicely. So it's a sort of motivation. Like that, you can tell any motivational story. It is a real power. So you can try those things. And the last one is the informational subject. That is the subject that you need to decide, the subject what you have read in the books, or the knowledge you have gained, some scientific knowledge, whatever it is, some research stories, or whatever it is, the information what you want to give, you can you can try giving informational messages also. So the main thing over here is the 4 topics are the basic topics. So you can decide what is the topic you have to speak about and choose one of the topic around these. That is the easy method. The next thing is the timing. What is the timing your speech should have? So generally in Toastmasters, the timing is 5 to 7 minutes. So it may be 15 minutes long also. So you can see like how much time you are going to speak, and you can decide accordingly, and you can plan your speech around that timing only. You should always see that you don't overshoot the timing, as well as the timing allotted to you should be utilized properly. It should not be underutilized as well. So the timing, which is usually 5 to 7 minutes in Toastmasters, you can properly utilize. You can give your core message, and you can focus on the core message, and see to that you don't put in lot of information, because people will get confused also. You can focus only on 1 or 2 messages, which would be highly appreciated by the audience, and they can remember as well. Now, we have seen that timings also. Now this you will learn by practice, like how to write your script. When you're writing the script, it will be usually long, but you can cut shorten it by editing, and editing 2 or 3 times, then it comes into a proper shape, and you will be able to concentrate on the core message and give them what is required. So while writing in a public speaking speech, I would write if it was me, I would write my topic keeping in mind the strengths of my topic. What is the strength of my topic? And the knowledge of my audience. And I will focus my presentation on where my strength meets the needs of the audience. So it is usually a universal formula that people love to hear stories. So according to me, the difference between the boring speech and the interesting one is the stories. So a good speaker always supports the statements with incidents and stories to make it more interesting and acceptable. Now, the last thing is, as you write your speech, you have to demarcate between what is important and what is not. Most often we would be overwhelmed by the sheer amount of information we have, and we are more likely to add more and more content. So don't overcrowd the message. Keep focus on only one message, and remember, your listeners are more likely to remember your speech if it is focused on only 1 or 2 points. So once you have identified your purpose and considered your audience, the next step is to choose a structure for your speech. So there are many ways to structure a speech, but the most ideal two common ones are the first one is tell, show, tell method. So tell, show, tell method is the common one, that is having an introduction, body and conclusion. That is in the introduction, you will tell the audience what you are going to talk about. That is the introduction. The next one is the body of the content, that is showing them. In the body, you have to show them with evidence or examples that supports your message. The third one is the conclusion. That is, in the conclusion, what would you tell them? You have to tell them what you want to do or think as a result of your message. For example, if you're giving a speech about the importance of exercising, you might start by telling your audience that you are going to talk about the benefits of exercise. They need to know what you're going to speak about. Otherwise, they will not be focused. Their concentration will be somewhere else. So you need to tell them in the introduction what you're going to speak about. So in the body of your speech, you would then show them the evidence or example that support your message, such as statistics on how exercise can improve your heart health, or the personal anecdotes about how exercise has helped you. Okay, only then when you show some evidence, the audience will believe that, and they will have the trust on what you're saying is true, and they will accept it. Finally, in the conclusion, you would tell your audience what you want them to do or think as a result of your message, such as encouraging them to exercise every day and or do it regularly and make it as a part of their routine. So the second, this is the common method, that is having introduction, then saying the body of the content, and then conclusion. That is one method. Another method is, the way to structure your speech is to outline, have a skeleton of what you're going to speak about. That is, think about all the statements, whatever you want to put in, and you have an outline. So an outline is a list of the main points and the supporting details or examples in your speech. You can then arrange it in a logical order. So to create an outline, start by listing your main points and any supporting details or examples. Then arrange these points in a logical order that supports your purpose and message. You can also use your outline to determine how much time you will need for each section of your speech. Like Tejasvi said, you have to make it as subheadings. Whatever you say, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make it as a small paragraph or subheadings, so that it would be easy for the audience to listen. The way you read, it is the same for speaking also. You need to have some paragraphs or small messages for them to understand and follow. Now that you have a structure for your speech, it is time to write your introduction. So the introduction is your opportunity to capture the audience attention of your audience and set the stage for your message. So how would you capture the attention of the audience? Anybody, please? Any idea how would you capture the attention of your audience?
By asking questions.
Yes, by asking
By
questions.
saying an anecdote or quote.
Pardon?
By saying a quote from a famous person or relating to that theme.
Exactly. Anything else?
Interesting information or interesting insights about something.
Yes. So usually when you enter a stage, it happens that the audience are merged in their own world. They will be either chatting with their friends, or they would be into their mobile, or they would be in their some thinking process. So what you have to do is bring their attention to you. The first thing is you have to bring their attention. So you would have seen big speakers, as they enter, they will talk in a humorous way, or they would crack some joke. So immediately the attention would be on the speaker. Otherwise, like you can, as it is said, like you can ask a question, so everybody would respond. They would get up from their sleep and they would start responding to you. So take the attention of the audience towards you, and then when they are on you, then you can start speaking. So that is a good way of starting. And then you should also provide a brief overview of your topic. Before you speak, the audience should know about what you're going to speak about. Otherwise, if you simply go on speaking and you're going to tell about your topic only at the end, they will get distracted and nobody would concentrate. Only if you tell, like, I'm going to talk about this exercising or the benefits of yoga or benefits of good health, then their mind would be focused on that. So just tell in 1 or 2 lines in the start itself, like what you're going to speak about. They should have that idea. So the first 2 minutes is very important in a speech to take their attention towards you. So therefore, you have to grab the audience attention by either cracking a joke, or by questioning them, or by interacting with the audience with a sense of humor. You can grab the audience attention. So once they're hooked up to the speaker, then we can move to the content. And lastly, have that emotional and personal connect with the audience. If you're simply going to just to talk and talk and talk, they would not get involved when it is your own personal experience, when you're going to see their eye to eye and talk to them, or when you're going to see each and everyone's face and observe their reactions. And then when you're going to speak accordingly, the audience would get more involved and you can make it more interesting as well. Do you have any doubts here? Still, this is that fine? Okay. The next thing is break the speech. Again, I'm coming to Tejasvi's writing competition. Break the speech into small headings. Generally, the core content should be focused. Whatever the main message you're going to tell, that should be centered and that core content should be focused. But there should be examples and stories spun around the content. It should not be it should not be felt that you're giving the examples and you're giving those stories like that. It should be involved and merged. It should be spun around the content so that it enhances the main point that we wish to deliver. The incidents should generally be descriptive. Whenever you're writing, know that incidents should be more of a narrative and descriptive nature. The listener should feel they are in that scene. They should just directly go to the scenario itself. When you're going to tell, for example, when you want to say, well, there was a snowfall when I was traveling. So they would just only listen. But if you could say that as, when I was driving through my car, while the drops of rain suddenly turned into a snowfall, as if the sky is sending silver falls, and within seconds, the greenery turned into a land of silver, all cladded with snow. And we could see that iceberg hanging on the pine trees. So how would you feel? You would visualize that scenario. As we speak, you should visualize that snowfall coming and the icebergs on the pine trees. Like that, when whatever you're saying, you should take the audience to that scenario. So it should be more of descriptive or narrative in nature. So they will be more involved with what you're telling. Another example is when you're telling a small girl was asking for alms in the traffic signal. But the speaker, what he said was, when I was sitting in my car looking through the window, the girl with her blue eyes and a golden hair pierced through the window and she stretched her arms. My hands opened the purse that pressed a 10-rupee note into her fingers. Can you feel the difference? So you will know we are involved into the story. We can visualize the small girl with her blue eyes and that golden hair. As we say, our mind goes to that particular scene. So whenever you are telling something, something like, you should take the audience to that scenario as well. So this way it can be descriptive and it would be more interesting also for the listeners. And the next thing is, a good speech may also have anecdotes and analogies, punch words, and a bit of humor. So these are not necessary like it should be had in all the speeches. These are for the a little bit advanced level. These are almost like the jewels in a crown. The more you put, the rhyming words or some analogy. You have heard of Gopal Gaur's speech, like that car speech. I don't know how many of you all would have heard. So in that way, it is all the jewels of your speech. As much as you possible, you can slowly add it as you go to the advanced level. The next is have the emotional and personal connect with the audience while speaking. And any good speech may also include case studies, statistics, or real stories. People should believe what you're telling. You should have seen that in any encyclopedia, or that when you Google or whatever you do, you will have that reference books, the source from where they have taken books referred or sources taken from the Google. So that bibliography and all those things also you have to add for the audience to believe that what you're telling is being researched and it is true to believe. So you can have all these as tips while writing your speech. Lastly, the last thing you have to do in a speech is end the speech with a strong message. Remembering to give their roti, as you have told before, that is the return on their time invested. The message should be clear and it should remain in their thoughts to carry back home. When they go back home, it should remain in their mind what you have told was useful. So hence let it be impactful, and most importantly to have a takeaway message, takeaway message, and probably this takeaway message should be of our own make rather than the regular quotes or proverbs. If wherever possible, if you have your own takeaway message, that would be very useful. And before you are writing and giving your speech, always rehearse and edit until you are satisfied, and wrap up the whole content into a small capsule to cherish and remain in their memories forever. So before I conclude, let me summarize the whole content for you. The first thing is, before you decide on the topic, what would you know? What would you do? Know your audience. Second thing is, choose the type of speech you want to give from the 4 types of speeches what we have said. That is personal story with personal annotations, the incidents you have seen or experienced. It may be informational or it may be motivational speech. Decide on the time you have to speak. The time should be decided. Decide on the core message. That is, have stories and examples to support the message what you're going to tell. Next is, limit your messages to 1 or 2 points and don't overcrowd the message. Next, the 5th point would be the structure of the speech. What is the structure of the speech? You have 2 methods. That is tell, show, tell method. Tell, show method is intro, body, and conclusion. The second one is using an outline method. In the outline method, you will arrange in a logical method, grabbing the attention of the audience and giving them a strong takeaway message. The last one is the content has to be narrative or descriptive to take the listener to the scenario. They should visualize it. Now you can add analogies and annotations to your speech. They are like jewels for your speech. 8th one is have a personal and emotional connect with the audience. And lastly, end the speech with a strong message, remembering to give their roti, that is return on time invested, and summarize the whole thing into a capsule and wrap it up for them to carry back home and remember it forever. So that would be the small way of writing the speech. If you have any questions, you can please ask me now. If you have any doubts.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So whatever you shared, maybe it is more appropriate for any Toastmaster presentation, or like when we speak about one particular topic and we built around our presentation. It's kind of a peeling onion, like layer by layer. We will peel it and we will just come out with the crux of it and the key message being taken away. So this part I totally understand, and I completely agree with you. On the professional front, people who are already there in the corporate are like even Ashok sir and Sridhar sir also can resonate. In the corporate side, we most of the time we come across and we end up in presenting various facts or the various problems which are mutually conclusive. Like, so these are all that like different set of outcomes or different set of problems which are conclusive from each other, and collectively they are exhaustive as well. So in that scenario, the problem what I personally face is that there will be like too much of information, too much of facts being presented. As a presenter, I'm well versed with those facts because I'm the presenting and I'm on top of that presentation. But I'm not very sure how to get the same level of understanding, how to land my message effectively to all the audience also, because it's too much of a fact to grab within a very short duration, and the things are very conclusive things. They're exclusive things. It's not like something interconnected with each other. And during the presentation, one more major challenge what I face is that the transition between one topic to other topic. Okay, as I said, it's a conclusive stuff. From one topic to other topic, it's like a kind of a disjointed. Like I say something, okay, fine. Then conscious of the time, I just need to jump into different territory. Then again, I need to jump into different ocean kind of stuff. So in that scenario, how do we present a kind of a different facts or multiple facts effectively with the audience who is not much closer to the topic, but it has to be conveyed. The message has to be conveyed, and I cannot have it in like 4 or 5 different sessions. So the slot given is only one session. Within that time, I need to pass on the message as effectively as I can. So do you have any technique, or like how do you personally handle this kind of a topic?
Yeah, so the main thing is like you have to, like what you said, you have a lot of contents and you have to present lot of things you need to practice. You have to present. So you have to concentrate on the priority basis, which is important. You have 10 messages with you, but what is most important to your MD? What he wants. There are stocks, shares, or he wants the sales desk or purchase desk or whatever it is. What is that he expects from you? What is his priority? You can think what is the expectation of your MD? What is he focusing more? What is important for him? Those things you can prioritize, and you can give importance for that. And one more thing you can do is small subheadings. You can put it under one main thing itself. Suppose he is asking for the total purchase and everyday purchasing, you can just club it together and put it as one main point. That is the trick you have to learn. Like if it is too vast also, you should learn to make it into 1 or 2 sentences, and you give him only the gist of it. Don't give the entire thing, just give the gist of 1 or 2 things. So as you said, the second thing you said is there are various things, like so many different contents, but how do I give it? So even when there are various things, you prioritize what is important. Not necessarily all the 10 points are equally important. Out of the 10, which one is first important? Which one is second important? So based on the time you have, you give only 1, 2, 3, or 4 points. If you're having time, you give only 4 points. The other will come automatically behind that. Try to club it. You have to club it and give. That is the technique you have to learn, like how to put it in a nutshell. In one information, you have to put 3 or 4 informations and you have to present it. So that's a separate technique where you will have to learn it to present it, or you can prioritize what is important and accordingly you can present it.
Thanks,
Was
ma'am.
it
Yeah.
sufficient? I don't know. As much as I know, I was able to tell that.
Yeah, that's really helpful, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody has any doubts? Okay. The basic, because today I am speaking about the very basic presentation for the beginners, just to start writing a speech. Generally, the question would be like, you have told so many things. Should I add all these things into my speech to make it as a better speech? Not necessary. It is not at all necessary to put in all that I have told to make it as a good speech. I've told different techniques and different things you can do to write a good speech. You can add 1 or 2 of it, and also you can make it as a good speech. The more, the simpler, the more the audience would be able to follow. Until it is a contest, you don't have to put in the jewelry words and all. It's not necessary. Only when it is advanced level, there is contest. You have to make it very nicely, present it so nicely, you know, that time you have to use these analogies, annotations, and all those jewelry words. Otherwise, you make it simple. The ultimate purpose is the audience have to understand what we are telling. They should feel it was useful listening to them. They should be able to take that message home. So the more simple you keep it, it is the better. So I hope my session was a little bit useful, at least for the beginners. If you have any doubts, you can ask me, or you can contact me or message me anytime. I would do my best to help you all. Was that useful, guys? Yeah. Thank you so much. With that, thank you, sir. So thanks a lot for giving me an opportunity on the first year and the first meeting. So thanks a lot, and over to you, Toastmaster of the day.